Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Confronting Our Thoughts. And I know you're probably wondering where Luke and Zach are at, but we won't be able to get an episode recorded with all three of us for quite some time because it's finals week. Or finals week's coming up for them, and we all just kind of have a ton of stuff going on. So, and we're going to cover all that when we do record again. It'll probably be another like 10 days, but um, yeah, like I said, we're going to talk about it, but the point of it is that we didn't want this to be something where we're going to need to take away from other very, very important things in our lives. And, like I said, it's 6:30 p.m. my time, 9:30 p.m. theirs on a Wednesday night. It wasn't possible for us this week. So I wanted to hop on here and talk to you guys a little bit about, because when we had this conversation, I was looking through my phone and I found a file that was labeled Tom's Pod. I was like, what is this? And then I remembered there was some time ago looking at the file, I realized it was September of 2020. So almost 3 years ago, I voice recorded myself talking for about like 50 minutes. And I realized looking back that I was so terrified to upload that anywhere. And and I know why, because I was just way too self-conscious about having other people, whether it was the 11 people that view this, um, hear myself just talking to a mic and just talk, about nonsense. And I was like, man, I uh I would like to say that I've grown since then. And so my mind went, well, listen, if I can't record myself tonight as Luke and Zach are busy into this microphone, into this camera, then how can I say that I've truly grown? And how can I come on here with Zach and Luke and talk about learning about yourself and getting through hard times and just, trying to become a better person and all these things we talk about. And, like me and Zach talk about all the time, we are the furthest thing from perfect people, but we can take pride in ourselves knowing that we're trying to be better. And I think if you do listen to this, you can hear this because we talk about things that we're going through, and a lot of that is us asking each other questions. So the point of it was that I heard that, and now my wheels started turning about, I was living my, in that point in my life, I was living my life based off of what I thought other people were thinking about me. And that's the reason I didn't upload it, because in my mind, it was like, well, I don't want other people to think so and so about me by uploading this, whether it was, what I was saying or how I was saying it, or my stuttering, or me saying and like a bunch of times, and whatever I was thinking back then. It was all coming from a real place, a place of me genuinely being self-conscious. And so I was like, fuck that. I need to get on here and I need to let people know to try your absolute best to not live a life based off of what other people think about you. And that's obviously a huge statement, and there's a lot of levels to that. But the first thing is because the reality is they aren't thinking what you think they're thinking of, right? Like, they don't care about you. They don't care about what you're doing. And I believe this is true for, basically like everyone in your life. And I know that might sound harsh, but this doesn't mean that they don't love you or they don't care about you. But all of these people have their own shit going on, that this dialogue you have in your head about other people, it's just simply not true. It's simply you making this up. And because we live in this world of judgment from, we're all, we've all made that mistake before, and we'll make it time and time again. And so therefore we get into this point where we're living a life based off what other people think we should be doing. And at that time, the reason I didn't upload that podcast is because my dialogue in my mind was, I don't want other people to think so-and-so about me when I'm uploading this, so I'm not going to upload it. And that's insane to think about, because no one cares about what I'm doing. I'm not that important in anyone's life to where they're constantly thinking about me doing whatever I'm doing, because they have their own shit to worry about. And the sad part is that the majority of their thoughts are about what they think other people are thinking about them. And it's just this constant loop of people having this dialogue. And that comes to a point where they're just, that's how they make their decisions. And that's how they decide what career move they're going to make. And that's what they decide what they're going to do on a day-to-day. And man, it's, you can see how it can be pretty sad. And I just don't want to be a victim of that. And so I'm getting on here for the 11 people that do watch it, that if you're thinking about doing something, whatever it may be, if it's talking to a microphone and uploading it on a YouTube channel that has 20 subscribers, then do it, because this life is so temporary. And I know it's like a broken record on this thing because I talk about it all the time, but if I'm going to keep talking about it, I have to keep trying my best to live it. And I think this is a step of living that. And this whole conversation hopefully is just going to be about this, but I think this is so important for myself to do. I really do. I think this is, so selfishly, this is a lot about me right now doing this, because I just need to practice what I preach. And so, that's the intro of this episode. I have no idea where the rest of this episode is going, but that's why I'm here. That's why I'm sitting on this microphone doing this. And so maybe I can get into like why I maybe got to this point. And then I'm going to talk about, and the big reason why is because of the people in my life. And I don't know how the hell I got so lucky with the people in my life, but I'm super damn fucking grateful for them, because I would have these conversations with my close friends, and a lot of these conversations were us just asking each other questions about things that were going on in their minds. And these were questions that none of us had the answers to, but I think the importance of those conversations was to let each other know that we aren't alone in our thoughts. And that's, how this whole podcast came about, was that we weren't, that if we were like, hold on, if we're having these thoughts and these conversations, then we definitely know other people are. And we knew how beneficial it was for us to let each other know, our close circle of letting each other know that we aren't alone in talking about happiness and this career and this trap of life and all of these things that we were, like I mentioned, we didn't know the answer to these things, but the importance of letting each other know that we weren't alone was almost like everything we needed. Because then we didn't think we were like kind of crazy or different in any means, like we had genuine questions that we wanted to see if we could find out the answer to. And anyways, that's how this whole thing came about. But going back to the people in my life, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how I got so lucky. When I think about it, first of all, I think about my older brother. And Joe was a person, my older brother Joe was a person in my life that he's all I looked up to. There was other people, but I didn't even know I was looking up to him at the time. I was just doing whatever he did because I saw as a young kid that, oh shit, well, objectively, he's having a pretty good experience throughout his high school years based off of what he's doing on a day-to-day basis. And what that looked like was he was a hard worker in the weight room. He he had a ton of friends and his friends enjoyed being around him. That's what made it like kind of stand out. And that you can chalk it as being popular, but there is some validity to someone being popular. It's that there's a reason that people want to be around them. And I saw that as a young kid. So and subconsciously I was like, well, shit, it must be working out for him, so I'm just going to start just doing what he did. And then it got to the point where this competitive side of me wanted to be like better at everything that he was doing. And that's what drove me. And like I said, I don't know, I got lucky because I didn't hear no um I didn't hear any of these specific speeches as a kid, or I just had a real father figure in him. And little did I know that I developed those habits that would be beneficial. But at the time, that's not where my head was at. Like I said, my head was simply just doing what he did and trying to be better at him than him, because I was so silly. But I remembered I like hated people calling me Joe's little brother. Like that's how I grew up. I was in a small town, in a small football town, and the majority of listeners here, all 19 of you, um, know this. But yeah, that's how I was known. And I was like, I was like an angry 14, 15-year-old. And I was like, oh, I don't want to be known as Joe's little brother. I want to be known as Tom and not Joe's little brother. And I'm going to do whatever in my power to make sure they remember me as being like the better brother. And like, looking back, that was silly. But I mean, as a 14, 15-year-old, that can be pretty impactful in a positive way. Little did I know. But so, and like I said, I got so damn lucky with him. And I would love to have him on and talk about it one time of, what was going through his mind, what made him developing those habits that, I really reap the benefits of. And so, I mentioned in the first episode, but here we go. Maybe this can just turn into me talking about my short-lived life so far. But I also grew up with a single mother, like I mentioned before. And my mom was someone that her actions speak louder than her words. And what I mean by that was because she was just she still is, but at the time, she was just such a damn positive person and a happy person. And to the point where I didn't know anything different, the only thing I would, and so, but looking back, I was like, I realized how hard that must have been for her to keep being happy because she was a single mother. And, we didn't have a ton of money, but like, it like literally didn't matter because she knew that's not what mattered in life, because she knew she had to be, she was making enough money for us to have the essentials of life. And on top of that, more importantly, substantially more importantly, she was able to be a happy and loving mother. And I am so damn grateful that I got to see that, because I don't know, because she easily could have, not easily, but she could have maybe worked a second job, and we maybe would have had more finances, and we could have maybe whatever, like maybe lived in a maybe like a bigger apartment, or maybe even a house, if she would have worked more. But she knew, looking back, like she knew that that wouldn't make her happy. And so that would take away from the true important things in life of loving her two kids, and being there for their games, and all these things that, when you look back, that's what really impacts you as a kid, not like the house you grew up in, or getting the new cleats for every football season or every baseball season. And so, man, I remember, right, I can, you can beat yourself up over, but I remember being like kind of frustrated that we didn't have as much money as all my friends. And but man, I just wouldn't have wanted it any other way, because it taught me, it made me, more importantly, it taught my brother. And then I, like I said, just looked up to him and my mother. So I just reaped the benefits from both of them. And and man, it was I'm a fun I'm lucky as shit. And then I know Luke and Zach talk all the time about, our friendship growing up, but I was around a bunch of guys who fucking cared about each other, at like 15, 16 year old. Like all we wanted to do was be with each other and like work out, and like we loved each other, and to this day I still love those guys. And I don't really know where this is going. I just know I'm fucking so damn grateful. And yeah, if any of you guys are listening to this, then I hope I tell you guys enough, but this is just another reminder to not change who you are, because I need you guys. And and I know you guys, if you guys need me, then I'll always be here too with you guys. But yeah, so like I said, going through high school, I all I wanted to do was be stronger, faster, a better athlete than my brother. I didn't care about school. I don't know. I like knew I could give this much effort and get like fine grades. And so that's exactly what I did. I really put all my energy towards being with my friends, and in sports. But that's just the way my mind worked as a little kid, or as a, as a teenager. And then, yeah, this is pretty silly. I feel silly talking about talking to myself growing up. But like I said, this is, if you're still listening, this is more of me letting myself know that I can do this. So I'm just going to keep going. But I, yeah, so I was like, I was a pretty good athlete growing up compared to our small Pennsylvania town. And all my close friends as well were good athletes. So we just kind of fed off of each other, and challenged each other. And that made all of us better in the long run. But I, towards, when it was time to start thinking about colleges, I really wanted to go to Penn State, Maine campus, which was about an hour east. And the reason was because I just wanted to get out of our small town. And, in retrospect, State College is not that big of a town. But when you're going from somewhere that's 2,000 people to a university that holds, I don't even know, maybe like 80,000, I have no idea, but it's a big university. So in my mind, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to get out. It's going to be a completely different world. And then so that's what mine was set on. I got accepted I got accepted. And then towards the end of my senior football season, or actually at the end of my senior football season, I, uh, I had a good friend, Brandon Vaco, who played college football at Clarion, and he sent my high school huddle tape to the defensive coordinator because he played defense. And then defensive coordinator came to my high school, and I'll never forget, this, as a 17, 18-year-old, when there's when there's a college coach telling you that you're like a good football player and that they like want you to be on their team, your mind gets so, I mean, and they're good at it. So like your mind gets so just easily persuaded. And I was like, wait, you mean like I'm wanted by this like this team? And so at that moment, I was like, oh yeah, fuck going Penn State. I'm gonna go, just continue playing football at this small Division II school for they offered me like $2,000 a year, which is like basically nothing. But it didn't, in my mind, that was like they could have offered me, $5. I was like, oh yeah, if you want me, I'm going. And so my mind switched completely. I spent my whole after my football season, I spent the winter, working out like crazy. At that point, they gave like incoming freshmen a new or like a workout plan, and I fucking followed that to a T. I was like, this is it. Like, this is my direction. It's like, fuck Penn State. I'm going to this school. I'm going to fucking play football. And so spring, I played baseball, but was still working out. And then summer came after my senior year. And it was me and like Brandon Bacco he was going into his senior year. So he still had another summer before he played another season. And so me, him, and Jake Swank, who was a college baseball player at the time, we just grinded all summer. And we talk about it when we like link up for the holidays and stuff, like how fun that summer was, because it would just be the sun setting at 8 p.m. and it was like a hot summer day and we were just out there grinding. It was really fun. And so summer came and went. It was a short summer. And then like I said, I made it to Clarion, Pennsylvania, which is not much. It's bigger than Portage, Pennsylvania, where I grew up, but it's a pretty small place. But I didn't care. I was a college football player. Like this is every high school football player's dream. And so, yeah, and I never figured I got there, and you don't realize, I'm 5'10" with shoes on, hint, hint. So I was probably 180 pounds at the time, realistically like 175, but on my max preps, I was 180. So that's what we'll say. I was the smallest motherfucker. And like I said, 5'10" with shoes on, 180 pounds before I went to bed. White kid, ran basically a 5 flat. I would love to say a 4.9, but realistically a 5 flat 40, which is slow. And right away, we had a first practice. I remember we were doing one-on-ones, and I was a defensive back. Use that term loosely, but at this drill, I was a defensive back, and I was up another freshman, and I got absolutely embarrassed in front of the whole team. When you have like they like Instagram and shit, they'll have like the highlights, like the highlight channels will just have like a random video of like this kid just getting his ankles broken on one-on-ones. Everyone's going crazy. That's literally what happened to me. But to be honest with you, I was like, oh wow, that was embarrassing. But I was like, I'm not letting that get to me, right? Like this is everything I've ever wanted. So summer camp, that was like I said, the first practice of summer camp. Summer camp goes on, and I'm like, to the point I'm like, oh, my dreams of like maybe seeing the field my freshman year were out the window. And so I was like, all right, I'm definitely redshirting, but it's okay. I'm having fun playing football. Like I'm meeting some new friends. And like, who cares? I'm a fucking 18-year-old kid, moved away from home. And I was like, this is all good. Season went on, or season starts. Obviously, I redshirted. And at this point, I'm like thinking about really what am I doing here? Because I'm not going to see the field for another 2 or 3 years, realistically. And I was taking a degree that it was called exercise and nutrition, which is like, looking back, I don't know why I thought this, but as a 18-year-old, I was like, this degree, I need like, basically in my mind, I was like, I need a better degree. I don't know why I thought I was better than that degree, but I did. And so that season went on, and I had some some great friends. I was having fun because I was a red shirt. So like going out partying with the other red shirt freshmen, going to practice 2 or 3 times a week. I'm basically a practice dummy, but I was like, I'm going to make it through the season. Towards the end of the season, I was the program. We were like, whatever, 2-9, not a good football program. I mean, not a good season. Just the program in general was pretty shitty. I mean, there's like no money in Division II football. And so I had this idea of getting all of this gear and walking around campuses and like the football players on the football team. That happens at like D1 schools, not Clarion, Pennsylvania. I tell you that much right now, or Clarion University. So I made a decision. I'm going to transfer to Penn State main campus. I was like, this football thing's not for me. I'm not going to see the field for 3 years, if that. This program is going downhill. This ego of being a college football player just got crushed because no one cares, like I said, at Clarion University if you're a football player. So made the switch. Went to Penn State main campus. And first thing I realized was that this is going to be substantially more expensive than Clarion, because Clarion, I was getting financial aid and also, like I said, $2,000 from the football team. But that altogether, financial aid and $2,000 for the football team, like made up my tuition and my room and board, and then also then some. So I think I got like 1,500 to like $2,000 back. That I would obviously have to pay back down the road. But dude, at that point, that basically could have been like $1 million. I was like, dude, this is awesome. So then I transferred to Penn State, and I didn't realize that I wasn't going to get that money back. I wasn't going to get money back from the financial aid department because of how expensive Penn State was. So I actually had to take out a private student loan with a crazy interest rate, with my grandmother being the cosigner. Yeah, my interest rate was like 11% or something crazy, because like I was the main cosigner. Like I was the main person who took it out. Usually like your parents will, so you get a lower interest rate. But I love my mom, but I actually had like a better credit score than her at the time. And so, yeah, so with that, I had a crazy interest rate, like I said. Anyway, so I kind of didn't care because I was at Penn State. It was like, this is awesome. I'm going to be a student. But little did I know that everyone had their own friend group already, their freshman friend group. Because I was coming in in my spring semester. I didn't know anyone. And if I did know, they already had their own friend groups. And along with that, I had to work on the weekends at Taco Bell to pay for my food on campus, because I guess when people get their meal cards, they only eat like once a day. And I was like working out. So I was eating like 3 or 4 times a day using my meal card. And like a month, 6 weeks into the semester, they're like, hey, you like your meal card's out. You like zero balance. It's like, what the hell? So at that point, I was working at Taco Bell on the weekends, and I would just put basically the whatever. I don't know how much I was making every 2 weeks. Yeah, so I had to pay. Like I was working at Taco Bell, I would put my paycheck on my meal card to pay for the food for the week, and then so I wasn't making any money. I was like, what I was making at Taco Bell was just going into my food. I was going in onto my meal card. But I was like, this is when I realized, looking back, how productive you can be allocating your time to the things that are important. What I mean by that was I was like, my whole week, I was getting all of my schoolwork done because I knew on the weekends I was working. Okay, so all over the place with this story. Hopefully these edits aren't too silly. But so the semester goes on, and I remember my brother texted me and he goes, hey, I have a job offer for you this summer as basically as like a personal trainer for this youth camp out where he lives in Eastern Pennsylvania. He was like, the money's great. Is that all you need for you to do is get it certified, become a certified personal trainer. And he's like, it's going to cost you money, but it'll all make up for it because you're going to make a ton of money this summer to save up for, like I said. And I was like, okay, yeah. Like, what do I need to do? He's like, you just need to get certified. So I'm like, going to school, we're going to talk about, well, also working to get this certified personal trainer. And all of this was, looking back, I was like, damn, I was like doing a lot, but I wasn't partying because I had to work on the weekends. And I like couldn't spend, like I said, I like couldn't really spend any money. So I was just like working out, going to class, studying for Penn State, as well as this personal training thing. And yeah, all was well. And then towards the end of this semester, yeah, everything's going on. The semester ends. And I remember I moved back home, and I'm still working to get my certified personal training certificate because the job starts in June, semester ends. So I have like 2 weeks. And I was at that moment, and I was like, it literally felt like it was a couple of days. I was like, what the hell am I doing with my life? And I got like really like honestly scared. I don't know why. I was just so scared. But I was like, I don't feel like my energy is kind of gone. And I don't know why. I was like, well, what am I doing? Like I'm getting this degree that I don't really know what I want to do with it. Um, and I miss the feeling of like going after something. That's like the best way to put it. But I guess I told people I remember telling a bunch of people, I missed being a part of something bigger than myself. That's how I worded it forever. I miss being part of something bigger than myself. I miss being a part of something bigger than myself. So I just started like searching up, and like my mind went to the military. It's like, I just started like basically like Googling military branches and things to do in the military. And at this point, um, like I said, semester ended. I'm still working at Taco Bell in State College. So I would drive like an hour to go work, like 8 hours at Taco Bell and an hour back. I don't know why I did that, but that's what I was doing. And then in my free time, I was just working out and like figuring out what do I want to do, because I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be a college student. I guess my life just felt too like nonchalant, I guess that's the best way to put it. But so I started talking to my brother, and we were like going, like my brother come home, we would talk about like finances, because I don't know why, it's what always we would talk about. And so I was letting him know my feelings. And then he was like, all right, well, like, what's your next plan for next semester? Because I haven't decided yet if I wanted to leave, like go back to school or not. And I was like, well, I'm assigned a lease for this apartment that's $800 a month. He was like, okay, how much are you making at Taco Bell every 2 weeks? And I was like, I think like $400 every 2 weeks. He was like, all right, so how are you going to pay for rent? And I was like, that's a good question. He was like, all right, well, you can always, you can save all money here. You can do this. So he's like, don't worry about it. Like you'll make it work. And he was like, how much are your like student loans? And we like logged in, looked at all my student loan info. He was like, dude, you took out this much for Penn State at like this interest rate. It was like 11, 12%. I was like, I didn't know what else to do. He was like, all right. And I let him know, I was like, I don't know if I want to go back. Like, I think I want to join the military and be something bigger. I just want to be part of something bigger than myself. I kept saying that. He was like, okay, well, I mean, you can go do that. Like, he's like, I'm not going to push you to go to college or anything like that. And at this point, he was in the National Guard. He was like, dude, it's great benefits. You'll love you'll love the discipline part of it. You'll thrive physically. You were a captain and leader in high school. Yeah, I think I think you'll do well. I think you'll thrive in the military. I think you should go. And it was like, okay. A couple of days later, called army recruiter. I was like, hey, I want to join the military. I want to join the army. And he was like, okay, did you graduate high school? And I was like, yeah. He's like, all right, bring your high school diploma and your birth certificate in my office in Johnstown, which was like 20 minutes away. And I was like, okay, I'll be there the next day. And when I left, before I left, my brother said, whatever you do, pick a job in aviation. And I was like, okay. I don't know why, but okay. Anyway, went there, went to your recruiter's office. I was like, hey, here's everything. I took the test. I scored well. And he was like, honestly, you can get whatever job you want. And I was like, all right, good, because I want to do something in aviation. He's like, okay, perfect. here's this job. It's called 15 uniform, Chinook helicopters. I was like, I don't even know what that is. Is it aviation? He's like, yes. I was like, okay, that's all I care about. He was like, you can leave, like there's a date in June. I was like, well, I have to do this, I'm doing this job during the summer for my brother. Can it be after summer? He's like, yeah, I got you a place in August. I got you a spot in August. It's like, perfect. I left that and I was like, holy shit, I just literally, it took like 2-3 hours. And I was like, guess I'm leaving for the army in August. And everyone was really shocked, but I was stoked because I was in my mind, I was like, I'm finally going to be a part of something bigger than myself. And I have like something that's going to be way more fulfilling than just being a college student, working at Taco Bell, going to school for something I don't know if I want to go for. I don't have any friends at Penn State. I think if honestly, if I would have had a close group of friends that I was like going out and partying and doing all that fun college shit, I would have never joined. But like I didn't have that experience because I was a new student. I was a new student at Penn State, like I said, my spring semester. And so the summer went. And so during the personal training job, I got a taste of like true fulfillment and enjoyment in that. But I knew everyone, it was temporary. It was only a summer gig. But I honestly, looking back, I think that really sparked and made me realize that I can do something in the health field or, in the exercise and nutrition field because I was like good at it. And because I mean, everyone like in the camp or whatever was telling me how like, much they enjoyed coming on workouts and things like that. And I fucking loved it. Absolutely loved it. But in the back of my mind, I knew I was like, I mean, I'm leaving in August. So I can like, this is great money for the summer, but I'm going to the military in August. And yeah, that summer came and went. I left for military in August. And honestly, I haven't looked back ever since. Um, like I said, the whole point of this whole thing was I needed to do this for me. I needed to be able to say that I can get on here, just me. I wasn't the same person I was 3 years ago who was too self-conscious to upload anything. Um, and yeah, so I don't know how long we've been going. I know there's gonna be a ton of edits, but I guess I'll end with the whole point of this is to please, I'm telling myself this just as much as I'm telling you if you're watching at this point still, please don't live your life based off of what you think other people are thinking about when they think about you, because the reality, they're just not. And so therefore, go do it. Go do the damn thing. Like Zach, Luke, and I say all the time. And yeah, it's gonna be a bitch to edit, but I'm glad I did it. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you're still listening, Luke, Zach, and I will be back. We'll talk about some good things. Hope you guys enjoy. All right, I'm out. See you guys.